Defense Dossier, Nolan Wells, Independent Autopsy Update. What the preliminary findings actually mean. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dre Defense, and welcome back to the Defense Dossier, where we follow the facts, analyze the evidence, and ask better questions. Today, I'm revisiting my presentation on the independent autopsy performed by forensic pathologist Dr. Roger Mitchell on behalf of Nolan Wells' family. Since these slides were created, additional public statements have been made by attorney Ben Crump and others. Rather than speculate, I want to place those updates into the proper forensic context. One thing has not changed. The independent autopsy is a preliminary evaluation, not a final determination of how Nolan Wells died. Slide 1. The Wells family retained independent forensic experts to conduct a second examination. That examination was performed by Dr. Roger Mitchell after concerns were raised by the family regarding unanswered questions in the investigation. This presentation focuses on what the preliminary independent findings reported, and just as importantly, what they did not conclude. Slide 2. Families often request an independent autopsy when they want another qualified forensic pathologist to review the evidence. An independent examination does not replace the official state investigation. Instead, it provides another professional opinion that may identify questions requiring additional investigation. Slide 3. One of the most significant findings discussed publicly was that several organs commonly used to evaluate drowning, including the lungs and portions of the airway, were unavailable for examination because of decomposition. According to Dr. Mitchell, that limitation prevented him from answering certain forensic questions that would normally be addressed during an autopsy. That does not prove foul play. It simply explains why some conclusions could not be reached from the available examination. Slide 4. Even with those limitations, Dr. Mitchell was still able to evaluate other portions of the body, including the skeletal system, the skull, external findings, and remaining organs. Some aspects of the examination could be completed. Others could not. Understanding that distinction is important. Slide 5. One area receiving significant public attention involves discoloration in the soft tissue near the back of the head. Dr. Mitchell discussed this finding but did not conclude what caused it. Possible explanations include post-mortem decomposition or trauma. At this stage, the preliminary report does not determine which explanation is correct. Slide 6. Because the lungs and portions of the airway were unavailable for examination, Dr. Mitchell stated he could not determine from the available examination whether drowning occurred. That statement is often misunderstood. It is not the same as saying Nolan did not drown. It simply means the independent examination could neither confirm nor exclude drowning based on the evidence available to Dr. Mitchell. Slide 7. The preliminary examination also reported no major skeletal fractures or other obvious traumatic injuries that could be identified during the examination. However, Dr. Mitchell also emphasized that decomposition limited what could be evaluated. For that reason, the report should not be interpreted as ruling out every possible scenario. Slide 8. These remain the central investigative questions. How did Nolan enter the water? Was he alive when he entered the water? Can drowning ultimately be confirmed? What explains the head finding? What role, if any, did decomposition play in limiting the examination? What will toxicology reveal? And finally, what additional investigation may still be necessary? Those are investigative questions, not conclusions. The Slide 9.1 update since these slides were produced is that additional public statements have been made regarding the investigation. However, those statements do not change the fundamental point of this presentation. The independent examination itself was limited by the condition of the remains, and many important questions remain unanswered pending the official investigation and additional forensic testing. Slide 10. This brings us to perhaps the most important takeaway. The preliminary independent autopsy raises legitimate forensic questions. It does not by itself establish a cause of death. It does not by itself establish a manner of death. Those determinations require investigators to consider all available evidence, including the official autopsy, toxicology, witness statements, scene evidence, digital evidence, and any additional forensic analysis. The key findings remain consistent. The examination was limited by decomposition. Certain critical organs could not be evaluated. Some findings remain inconclusive. Toxicology is still an important piece of the investigation, and several significant questions remain unanswered. Finally, as investigators continue their work, it's important to distinguish between questions and conclusions. Questions help guide an investigation. Conclusions require evidence. As always, here at the Defense Dossier, our commitment is not to defend a narrative. It is to follow the evidence wherever it leads. If new verified information changes our understanding of this case, we'll update the record accordingly. Until next time, follow the facts, analyze the evidence, ask better questions. I'm Dre Defense, and this has been the Defense Dossier.